Hey folks, Joffrey Fitcher Perry here. I want to talk about something to warn people about hearing loss. Now, I'm all about electric violins and electric instruments. They're great. And history is changing slightly in that in the early days of rock and roll, guitar amps had to be cranked because they didn't come to the PA. They had to fill the concert hall. And this is terrible for our hearing. And electric violin does not need to follow the same suit. Now, I'm not an audiologist or a doctor. I've mitigated most hearing damage by if I got in loud settings, I started wearing earplugs, or if I had to sing, maybe just one earplug, and put the ear plug in the one that was facing the drums at least. Likely you will not be playing huge concert stages. Most of us don't. I have had the privilege of doing that sometimes, but a lot of hundreds and thousands of gigs I did in smaller venues, bars and stuff, where the band is all tightly crammed into a corner or a small stage. Yeah, I might be standing, this far from a crash cymbal, and a drummer hit it. It's like, oh, sorry. He tried to be sensitive. But you can really lose some of your hearing and damage your hearing by being around a lot of loud instruments and sounds. It behooves you to pay attention to this and take advantage of technology that has like in-ear monitors. Those can be bad too. If you listen to the in-ear monitors too loudly, it can damage your hearing just as well. So you have to be really conscious of what's going on. I was blessed after I left my early rock and roll days into the mid-90s. I didn't play in bands that were super loud. I played in Zydeco groups for a while, which had loud drums. I tried to stay away from the drums, stand physically away from them on stage. We had an accordion with a microphone inside it, so we couldn't really be super cranking loud. And my acoustic fiddle kind of fit into that mix, and we had to relegate the whole band's volume to fit the two acoustic instruments. So if you're playing acoustic instruments trying to amplify them, you're in luck a little bit, is you can't be so cranking loud like the loudest electric guitars. And if I'm going to ever play in a band like that, I put in two earplugs. I protect myself. I don't do that much of that. As I've said before, I played in Bob Beacon Gypsy Jazz Group. We're on stage. We're not very loud as 4 acoustic instruments. We still had problems amplifying. We had to amplify in front of the audience to hear us in bigger halls, but the volume was not so much on stage for that. So I've tried to protect my hearing by choosing the types of music I play too. But I still love a good slamming drummer and a good distorted guitar and bass. I still love digging in. And so you have to decide for yourself how to protect your hearing, whether it's they have higher tech earplugs that try to let in sound that's equally the full frequency range, but just quieter. I would advise in trying those out. All of it kind of half sucks, to be honest. It's nicer just to hear in your own ears. And earplugs are never much better, but those newest ones, Heroes, I think they're called, and there might be others to compete with them in the market, are an improvement for sure. The old-fashioned, industrial, you squish them up, bright orange or lime green ones you stick in. They don't look that great on stage, but they do protect your hearing. If you're going to have to be in a loud situation, I'd highly advise you to do that, because hearing damage can be permanent. And especially as we age, I'm in my 60s now, and naturally we start to lose our hearing just through, it wears out, I guess. Ear ringing and tinnitus, this kind of stuff. Now, I've had tinnitus my whole life, a little bit. And when I was a kid, I can remember I stopped and listened, and feel high ring. Same ring that I would hold the board for my dad's saw. Zing, zing, hold that board, son, while I cut this. It's the same, the ringing of the blade probably damaged my hearing as a kid, maybe. I hear people who have tinnitus, and it's horrible. Peepers and, low frequency rumbling and stuff. I don't have any of that, thank God. But if I'm in a quiet room and I listen, it's real high stuff. That probably masks some of the higher frequencies in me. And I always I trust other people would listen if I'm recording the studio to make sure the mix is right, just in case. I don't think I've lost too much hearing, thankfully, but you can. And especially if people have a weakness for this in your family, your genetics. Some families are all hearing loss people, even if they're not rock and roll musicians. So you want to know your family history, your genetics. There's epigenetics says that we can change our genetics these days. We can just will your hearing better, I guess. You look at people like Bruce Lipton and see what you think of what he has to say, the Dr. Bruce Lipton. Anyways, that's a little aside. protect your hearing at all costs, I would say. It's a much wise thing to do. All right. Enough of me blabbing on something I'm not super authority on, only experienced.